up. We're gonna be, I'm gonna jack her up, get this rack ready to go in. Car jacked up. Next thing, scope out what we are going to do. Now, it's fairly simple on these. There's only two main bolts that actually hold the rack on. They're actually just right here. Literally that simple. Other than that, we have two lines that go into the power steering rack, which are up here. And these two bolts, those two oil lines, all you have to do is disconnect the inner tie rods from the outer tie rods. Now you will get of course you will have to get an alignment after this, so I highly recommend doing that afterwards. Alright, let's get started. Alright. Bruh. I wish I had tools organized in here. That's something you I don't even know what I need. I don't even know what I need. Let me. Oh, that's tight. Alright, give me another wrench. Quick trick, I don't know if you guys don't know this yet or not, but you can, not exactly a safe way of doing this, but it's a old school mechanics way. Putting a wrench like this on the other one to give you some extra leverage. Oh! Broken loose. If I remember correctly, there are two nuts on the back of this. On the back of these two bolts that you have to hold. I'm not sure if I'm capable of holding on my fingers. And I am not. I'm going to need another one. That is the wrong way. Alright, second one's out. Any other E36, your oil or your power steering lines are probably leaking. And if so, then you're getting it everywhere and it's collecting dirt and grime and all that crap, so you end up like this. The two lines that you're actually supposed to take out are up here. They're two banjo bolts located right here and right here above the two lines, the two hard lines that go in. So this banjo bolt right here and this one right here. Once you take those lines off, all the power steering fluid out of the reservoir is going to come pouring out. Forward wrench. I am now breaking the jam nuts for the tie rods loose. Okay, I'm gonna use this right because I know I'm gonna get crucified for using this thing wrong. Oh. Sweet. Now, what we have to do for the next step, we got the two oil lines off. got the two main bolts that hold the rack on, is loosen up or take the inner tie rod out of the outer tie rod. Now you can, if you're replacing, if you bought a rack without inner tie rods, then I guess you would put your inner tie rods on, but usually racks, they come with your inner tie rod, so you just decouple them right here. Inner tie rod, inner tie rod. All you have to do, release the jam nut, and just spin this on here. It has a spot for you to put a wrench and back it out completely out of the outer tie rod. And that would most likely be a 14 or 15 or 13 wrench. And 13. It will be a 13. Alright, so we got both the tie rods off now. Next step after both inner tie rods have been removed from the outer tie rods is we have to decouple the steering column from the rack, which is up in this area, right here. Right here. Now, all you have to do is, there's this bolt right here. On the rack side of this coupler, all you have to do is loosen that nut up right there, which is also 13, or this bolt is also 13, loosen it up, and the rack should slide out from there. It's just two, it's kind of like a, how would you call it? I don't even remember. Either way, it should just slide out of the coupler at that point. If it's never been done in your car, then it might take a while because those things get stuck. They get stuck. So one final push is all. There she goes. Boom, rack is out. Alright, we got the rack out. Actually, for removal of the rack, the only two things you need to do is disconnect. You'll have to disconnect the top banjo bolt that is located right here where it goes, and the line that goes to the bottom of the reservoir, to the cooling lines. You do not have to actually take this off for removal, but you will have to take it off anyways on your new rack. You have to transfer this line onto the new rack, which does not have it. So that is the next step. Normally two 10mm bolts. You'll see them go right here on the normal M3 racks or 3 series racks. One here and one that would usually go right here. Take the bolts out, cooling lines come off, take that banjo bolt off, put it on the new one. Also have to take this oil line off. Normally, on your regular car, if you have never touched your power steering lines, this would have a clamp on it from factory. I removed it because I replaced this hose, which I might have to do again because it's getting really dry. And that's where usually you get your leaks from. Just that clamp from the factory. The rubber hose dries up and just starts leaking power steering fluid, so that's what I did, but you won't be able to remove that. Just remove it from the bottom of the reservoir. Remove that. Banjo bolt. The rack should come out. That's the only two connections to it other than two bolts holding it up to the chassis, two tie rods. So I will now be removing cooling lines, putting it on the new rack. Banjo bolts have two washers. One washer goes on each side of the fitting, of the banjo fitting end. Usually we get new washers, but I don't have new washers, so I'm just gonna use my old ones. Over here close. So one washer goes on this side fitting, and the other one goes on the bolt itself. I would highly recommend getting new ones. They're crush washers. If I'm being lazy. So, one washer there. Push it through. Next washer is sandwiched between the fitting. Oops. Drop it. There she goes. Other than that, that's all I need to do to prep this for install, and now we will be doing the install. This is what I was talking about. What goes here? I do not have it, so I will put one there. Come on! Stop moving.
You and I both know that that's not going anywhere.
Oh, it moved.
Oh yeah, you say that, but...
Finally got the coupler in, got the bolt through. Now I'm going to put the two main bolts here. Bolt goes up. And the nut goes top side. For clearance purposes, because there's no way in hell you're going to put the bolt from the top. I guess you could slide on your line that was removed from the reservoir back into the reservoir. Tighten that clamp, and also put your hard line in place. In which case, I still recommend cleaning both ends. Of the line, said line right here. Then, last thing you do after you tighten all that, reconnect. Oh yeah. If the jam nuts, if your new rack did not come with the jam nuts, just reuse the old ones that came off of your old rack. Yeah. At the end of all this, get them both started. Try to get both wheels as straight as possible. And make your appointment as quick as possible to get in alignment. Because driving without an alignment will either destroy suspension components or your tires. Most likely your tires really fast. And if you already had failing components, it will just make it worse. Alright. So, we got everything in. Got the two big bolts, 15 mils. Got those tightened up. Got the tie rods piped in all the way for the most part. Just guesstimate, kind of, not really, don't do that, but get it as close to straight as you can. For a quick way of getting them as straight as possible, just pick a point from here, the front of the tire, to the front of the tire on the other side, and then from the rear tire to the rear of the tire on the other side with a tape measure, measure get the difference from the distances, and try to get it as zero as possible between the two distances. Same distance from the rear of the tire to the rear of the tire, and from the front of the tire to the front tire, just quick, so at least you can drive it to get alignment. Tightened up the single 13 millimeter bolt with a 13 millimeter nut for the coupler to the steering column, and the banjo bolt for the hydraulic line. And that's pretty much it for the install. Now, next step would be I'm going to fill up the reservoir with new power steering fluid, and we're going to cycle it a few times to bleed some air out of the system. Alright, so we finished the install, got the power steering rack buttoned down. we flushed the system. All we had to do pretty much was pour some, we refilled the reservoir with some power steering fluid, and you just turn the steering wheel back and forth. Usually, you want to get the car jacked up off the ground and do that with the wheels off the ground, so there's less stress on it. So you get the, just for safety purposes and future life of the rack. But I had 2 leg stand plates with Vaseline between them, so it made it super easy. Because I have my own homemade alignment tools, which I will do another video of that. My own homemade toe plates over there for a quick alignment. So yeah, that's pretty much it.